Hey,
Yes. Hey, everybody. We are live. My name is Andy Ortega. I'm also joined by my coworkers and ambassadors, Danny Walsh. He's one of our super ambassadors. That's pretty cool. And I'm also joined by Tim. How you guys doing?
good.
doing great, Andy. Doing great. Good to be here, and you've got some exciting stuff planned, right?
Yeah, we do. So today is the kickoff for the Build a Business series. So this is a little bit different than what we usually have been doing on Mondays. We're actually going to be doing this series through the whole week, same time, right here inside the ClickFunnels group. And today is really exciting because what we're going to do is we're gonna begin the journey. We're going to start the foundation for someone. We're kind of picking a fictitious person here, an entrepreneur that's going to be launching their business, and it's going to be an expert business. So, so what we have planned today is we're actually, I got my notes over here on the side. So in case you see me looking over here, we're going to talk about how to build a product. How do you come up with a product or service? How do you come up with something that you can actually offer? So before you build a business, that's going to be really important, right? We're also going to talk about validating your problem, or your product, checking whether it's viable, checking to see whether it's going to be popular, and we're also going to be talking about um, the steps that you need for branding your product, branding your business, branding your product. And that's why we have Tim here. Tim is actually going to be showing us how to use one of the most popular and easy to use tools that people use today. You don't need to be a graphic designer these days. Tim is going to be teaching us how to use the basics of Canva. So really easy stuff today. We're going to go over the foundation here. And throughout the rest of the week, we're actually going to be going into ClickFunnels and building parts. So tomorrow, for example, we're going to be building a funnel for this business. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be creating a membership or course. We're going to go through that process. Thursday, we're going to talk about sales pages and how to begin your sales process. And then on Friday, we're going to have a recap with several of our ambassadors. We're all going to be chipping in and just talking about the entire process and then what to do afterwards as well. Really, really excited. Now, before we jump in, let me just go through the support options, and then I want to jump back into things with Danny and Tim here. But in case you ever need help, by the way, can you ask any questions here today? Yes, you can ask any question. We kind of want you to mostly during the show stick with what we're talking about, but towards the end, excuse me, if you have a question on something that's not exactly related, that's okay. That's what we're here for. We'll be happy to answer any questions. But anyways, if you need help, you can always go to our knowledge center. That's where you can just type in help.myclickfunnels.com. That's for ClickFunnels 2. myclickfunnels.com. And once you go there, you'll be able to find all of the different articles and different topics that you can search. And there's lots of guides and videos. That's going to be the fastest way for you to get the answers to your questions. Another way is for you to just email support. You can access support from inside your dashboard, but you can also just send an email straight to support@clickfunnels.com, and they'll be able to help you out. All right, awesome, guys. So Danny and Tim. So Danny, I know that we've been working together to put up this series for a while, and we kind of came up with a person, right? The subject, the topic. Can you tell us a little bit about who is the person that's going to be building their business, and what kind of business are they going to be launching today?
Yeah, so we've looked at this from the kind of things that go on in the community, right, and what people would try and do. And often we get folks who want to set up like a service business where they would go out there and they would, maybe they're proficient with software, maybe they're proficient with design, maybe they can help a business, right? So if we think, our client has arrived at the doorstep and they're like, hey, you guys, I've got this vision that I want to help businesses, and I want to help businesses with their websites and with their funnels and with their, the designs and the logos and things like that. But I just don't know how to get the concept out of my head into ClickFunnels, and how do I brand it? How do I, what do I put to get the best return on my investment of time and money and all the rest of it? And if you think, this could be anyone, it could be somebody who's watching right now in the group thinking, yeah, I really want to do that. We're going to call our client Susan, right? So Susan's walks into the ClickFunnels office right now, and she's like, hey, I'm good at the tech stuff, but I just need to be able to get some clients so I can start doing the tech stuff. And that's a lot of people out there right now could help businesses with, I used to do this with flyers and posters and little logos and little videos, or maybe build a funnel, or maybe build a website, and try to launch their career, but they soon run into like a brick wall, right? Especially when it comes to positioning themselves in front of clients. Maybe they feel they can't compete in the bigger marketplace, etc., etc. So by going through this process, if we've got a business that's kind of started from that concept to how would you position it, how would you promote it, and how do you use ClickFunnels to tie all this stuff together, there's a lot of people I think would benefit from that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's so many people out there that maybe they started a business on ClickFunnels, right? And then they started to get pretty good at it, and now they want to offer their services, or maybe they have a background in graphic design, or they're good at the, like you said, the tech stuff, and they're starting to become familiar with ClickFunnels, and now they want to offer their services. There's so many people out there like that. So I think that was. We actually went through several different ideas, right? We had like a time traveler, and we had like some really silly stuff. But I think what we wanted to do is we wanted to focus on something that people actually might want to do, might want to follow, and see how we build this business so that they can learn a few tips and tricks. Awesome. And then, excuse me. So Tim is going to be joining us also, because on our team, Tim is probably the most artsy guy on the ClickFunnels community outreach team. He's very, very artsy. I love all the stuff that he does. He puts up memes, like funny memes of things going on in the office all the time. So it's going to be great having Tim. Now, Tim, why when we were talking about this, you said that you wanted to kind of give the tips, the basics of how to use Canva. Why did you pick Canva? Isn't there other types of applications, apps, or programs out there? Why not Photoshop?
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, Canva is just so easy to use, man. Like it's funny that you like mentioned that Tim's so artsy or all that kind of stuff. It comes down to even the same thing with funnels. Like people hear about what I do, and it's always a conversation. Man, let's reach out to Tim. He knows about computers. And I don't know nothing about computers. I'm horrible at it. I know how to build funnels. I'm like a one trick pony, It's like I'm very good at funnels. And it's the same thing like when people see like, man, he's so good at graphic design and stuff. It's like, I'm not. I found something easy because I wasn't good at Photoshop, and I started playing around with Canva and everything. It's just easy to use. And then I'm actually going to show a few other tools that you could use. So like if you don't have, like say if you're just using a free Canva account, there's certain things it can't do, but then you just bring it into other free tools, like to remove backgrounds, turn them into PNGs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I'm just going to I want to show you how easy it is to use, because sometimes people get stuck on the whole logo thing. And having a logo to me is the last of your worries. But it's always going to be in the back of your mind. It's going to be messing with you. I need a logo. So I'm just going to show them how to create something very quick, very basic that you could put as a placeholder. Unless you're fully happy with it, you want to keep it, cool. But in the meantime, you could work on everything else because you already have at least a little logo. So.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much. So we're really excited about that. Plan to stick around with us for about another hour. We're going to go about an hour and a half approximately. So yeah, I think we can go ahead and jump in here. So, all right. First thing that we're going to talk about is developing a product, right? How do you come up with a product or service? First thing, we have Susan, right? So we're talking about Susan. How would she come up? She knows that there's people out there that need help with their ClickFunnels site. They haven't caught up to her yet, right? She's pretty good. She's got a few things down. And so she already has an idea because maybe people have been asking. So sometimes you might get people in your field, you might be an expert at something already, and people ask you about it all the time, right? So there it is. People will tell you. If you're an expert in your field, a lot of times you'll pretty much have a good idea of what some of the problems are in that industry. So the problem is that there's a lot of people that are technical, right? They're using ClickFunnels, or they've heard of ClickFunnels, or maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they haven't used ClickFunnels, but there are people that have the money. They're smart, but they just need somebody else to do the other stuff because they want to focus on maybe the copy and generating a marketing plan. They know what they're doing, but they need you to help them do the build the foundation of the site and things like that. So that's one potential type of person that Susan might be looking to help, right? Then if we go to the other side, okay, if we go to the opposite side, and maybe it's somebody that is not technical at all, but they are brilliant. They sell like crazy. And maybe you guys have heard, I remember when I kind of went through a phase where I was into photography. I mean, a lot of people love photography, right? And I went through a phase where I was really into photography, took a few classes, and I realized that there was some people in the class that were amazing photographers. Okay. And then there was some other people that weren't that good, but they're getting there, right? And I noticed that sometimes the people that were not so good at photography, but they were good at sales, they were able to get their business going. Sometimes I would look at their pictures and, wow, you took those pictures. That's pretty good. And they weren't actually that good. To be honest, I was jealous, right? Ever happened to you? You get jealous because how is this person with just so pictures? How are they charging for a wedding? How are they getting so many clients? Okay, it's because they had good sales, right? The art will get there. So always keep in mind that there's always going to be people that know how to do. They have really good skills in one area, but then they might need help in a different area. Okay, so we already know, we kind of have an idea for this business that Susan is trying to create. We already have an idea that she's going to offer some type of, I don't know, a consultation, or maybe she's going to offer to build a freebie. And the cool thing about this series that we're building is we don't know. We haven't planned it. We're actually going to have a discussion, and we're going to think of what kind of product Susan can create, some type of package, maybe, I don't know, or some type of service, build a funnel, build a course, build a website. So we need to think about what type of product, what is going to be popular, what are her skills. She's good at graphic design. So let's go over to Tim. Tim, so far, what we've talked about as far as like the problem or the solution that Susan wants to offer, what are the things that come to your mind? Like, what do you think she should do?
Well, I think she should definitely start putting herself out there as the expert, because she wants to. Like, something is like, if people ask you what is a brand is something, it reminds people of a story that is related to you. Usually, if you became good at something, there's a story to it. So I would recommend starting to, we're in the world of social media now. Start getting your story out there. Start talking about how, what the thing that you're good at changed your life. How did you fall into it? The aha moments it gave you, those epiphanies, those bridges that you cross because of what you do. And I will basically start there. Like, start letting people discover you, because you can have this beautiful funnel, beautiful logo, beautiful copywriting, if no one knows you exist, it's completely worthless, which just kind of goes into what you were saying. People that were taking way better photos weren't doing anything as far as business. And then the people that actually weren't that great had the guts to step out there and expose themselves and put themselves out there and go after the big picture, and I think that's part of it. Just start by figuring out how you're going to make yourself discoverable. And to do that, you have to then roll it back a little bit. Okay, what persona am I going to become? And start branding yourself as that.
Awesome. Danny?
100%. And I think when you kind of know that you're good at something, and whether this is writing children's books, building funnels, cookery, photography, whatever it is, music, you could think, well, I know I've got enough skills right now to be able to take this stuff to market, but I'm not entirely sure how to do that. The minute that you start going out there on social media and switching that focus from talking about your sort of like day-to-day life to this is something I've produced, this is something I've created, people are going to start to notice that. But not only should you be switching that focus from like the way that you're describing what you're doing, you should also be looking to get a few people on your social media profiles who might actually be interested. Does that make sense? So like Tim said, getting yourself out there is not just a case of going on Facebook and saying, hey, look at this thing I've made in Photoshop. Well, your mom and, your brother are going to be like, hey, thumbs up, but they're ever going to buy your stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So before you even do a logo or you even think about doing a funnel or anything like that, or kind of in running in tandem with this, there's something you should kind of do every single day, is you should be trying to get a few folks into your own personal Facebook, onto your own Twitter, and to, using certain hashtags and things on YouTube and stuff like that to try and bring some, if you imagine you're going fishing, you want to fish for the right fish, right? So you're going to be fishing for clients in 6 months' time. You might need to start exposing yourself to some of these clients earlier in the process by, for example, visiting some Facebook groups and making some friends. That's a simple thing that anyone can do. But if you're going to do, funnel building, you want to go to groups where there's people who are running businesses, right? So the local business startup community. You don't want to come in the ClickFunnels group where everybody knows about funnels and everybody's sort of like, oh, we're all building funnels and we know about JavaScript and code and things like that. You want to go somewhere where there's startup businesses who might not have a flyer. They might not have a poster. They might just have a store and they've not even gone online yet. So if you go and start showing some of your skills in these communities, you're already at that higher level and people are looking at you thinking, wow, this guy's pretty cool. Susan out here, she's coming in and she's dropping all this value, right? We talk about give value, right? But that's the kind of way you would do that. And very soon you're going to start seeing people befriending you or liking your content. And that gives you a real good opportunity to do some like customer surveys, in a sense, some market research. Because we talk about how we're going to take this to market. Well, what does the market actually want? And if you've got people on your friends and you're, liking your stuff and commenting on your stuff, that's going to give you a big bunch of encouragement. And you could do that right now with your cell phone and Facebook before you've even created your brand, your name, your logo, and all this stuff we're going to discuss just now. I think a lot of people get stuck on the, oh man, we need a course with 5,000 modules and we need this logo that's got to be perfect and you've got to have this copywriting and we've got to have all this stuff and we're going to build it. What software should we use? But they're not actually doing the conversation part and the actual get out there. And we've just done a call with somebody earlier, and one of the things I said is when we go fishing, literally to catch fish, the first thing we do is have a walk around the lake and have a look in the water. That's what you should be doing in your business, right? You should be going around social media, you should be looking in the water and seeing what's going on out there. Take some notes. And I went into this group and I found that there's a bunch of people who were really struggling with what I could offer. And there was some guy trying to sell them some stuff and he wasn't having much success. How can I get into that gap? They're the kind of things I'd be asking myself right now if I've nothing, if absolutely nothing. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And one of the things I was just listening to the Traffic Secrets book by Russell Brunson. And one of the things that he talks about is how traffic is already out there. You just got to go connect with those people and kind of reroute the traffic to your social media, your website, your funnel, whatever it is. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you're present. You want to be the person that is at the place with the thing. I can't remember. I heard this recently in one of the ClickFunnel radio podcasts, but doing at the place with the stuff, doing the thing. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. So yeah, you definitely want to get out there, and it's not so hard. It's pretty easy. Anybody can start a social media account. I know on Facebook, you're not allowed to have two different personal accounts, but you can create like a group or a business account. Same thing with Instagram. You can on Instagram, you can have multiple accounts. So did you have anything that you want to say, Tim?
Yeah. I just wanted to mention, like very valid points that like both of you kind of brought up. It's like if you have something to offer, don't go into a place where everyone's familiar with it already.
Yeah.
Like don't go into the ClickFunnels groups trying to explain ClickFunnels and everything because it's kind of worthless. Like you need to go into place yourself into groups where, say they're like your traditional brick and mortar people, maybe they're a dentist or something like that, and start providing value in there. And don't be like trying to inbox people or anything. Just provide value, and little by little, they're gonna be like, "Man, who is this person?" They're gonna start clicking on your profile, and they're gonna probably reach out to you and everything. And like something like you always hear about is like you could bring a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. The trick to getting the horse to drink every time is making it thirsty first. So go into these groups, identify a problem they have, and start little by little providing a solution with something that they most likely have never heard of, or they kind of heard of it. They just want from, they're like, yeah, I kind of heard of it. I just never got it. It's too technical for me. And if you start feeding them little by little, the little solutions that you could provide to them, you're going to go a really long way. And you're going to little by little make them thirsty for something that they didn't even know that existed. And little by little, they're going to crave that solution that you're able to provide them.
Gotcha.
Just that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So, if we kind of try to apply this to different businesses, like I just brought up photography, right? And let's say that you're a photographer, that's an expert, right? And that's something where you can create digital products. You don't have to sell cameras or your pictures. You can actually just create a course or a membership, some type of like community. So let's say that maybe it's the macro photography community, people that take pictures of like flowers and bugs and things like that, little small things. A macro lens is one of those lenses that is almost like a microscope. And that would be a niche, because it's not broad. It's not too broad, because with your niche, when you're thinking about a problem and a solution, you don't want to go too broad, because then you're in a big ocean, right? You're in a big ocean and there's lots of other competition, and it's just going to be a little tougher. But if you start in a smaller niche, right, that's really going to help you, because maybe a small circle of people that are into macro photography. Or maybe you're going to focus on certain types of, let's go with Susan. Maybe Susan is pretty decent at ClickFunnels, right? She knows her stuff. She's read all the books, but she is actually part of a specific community, a community of people that maybe want to start a business that has to do with that community, right? So we'll kind of touch on that maybe later on. We'll develop that a little bit later. But yeah, that's those are some really good points. So thank you guys. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention something really important, is that we are going to be putting a download in the comments later on at the end of this presentation. So give us about an hour. When we're done, we're actually going to drop a link where you can download some of the things that we've been talking about, a guide that goes through how to identify your solution when you are coming up with a business. But the next thing I want to talk about, you guys, is I want to go into identifying your ideal customer. And I also know that Russell talks in his in the Traffic Secrets book. He talks about the Dream 100, and I love this exercise. We'll talk about that in a second, but Danny, I would love to know your thoughts. And by the way, all of us right here have had some type of digital business. Danny is kind of like a serial entrepreneur, right? You've had like several different businesses built on ClickFunnels. I know Tim. The cool thing when I joined ClickFunnels, I realized that wow, like almost everybody that works at ClickFunnels uses ClickFunnels to have some type of business, and that's not always the case at all software companies, but very impressive. So I know Tim also has some business experience, but Danny, can you tell us a little bit about how do you identify your ideal customer? What is the process? How did you come up with that for your businesses?
Well, look, and it's kind of links to what you've just said, because you've talked about the macro photography stuff, right? There's a bunch of folks out there who are taking amazing pictures. And then we've got Susan, who wants to help business owners, but she's kind of going out there thinking, oh man, I go in these groups, everybody understands ClickFunnels. I go in these groups and these guys are all funnel hackers, funnel builders. They're all trying to compete for the work. But over here, there's a community of 10,000 macro photographers who are taking amazing pictures that they could actually sell, right? So imagine if Susan could position her services so that the guys taking the photos could actually sell their work and create products and then get onto ClickFunnels, right? So now Susan's saying, oh man, well, I'm into this stuff a little bit on the side, right? But my main job is doing the funnel building. But in that community, I know that there's people always asking, I wish I could sell my photos. I wish I could, put something online. I just don't know. I'm just an amazing photographer. Or people will say to you, hey, you should do a video about these things that you're cooking. You're cooking up this food all the time. You should do some of these videos. You should make a cookbook. And you're like, oh man, well, I don't know how to do that stuff. Or, you've got a group online and it's doing a bunch of crafts and handmade stuff. And Susan could be like, well, hey, imagine if I could show you how you could take your amazing stuff that you're doing and turn it into an online business. My kid wants to do a slime business. She wants to like manufacture slime and put it in, and like, oh, well, my brain immediately goes, well, we could have a funnel for that. Right. So that's kind of like the Susan brain, right? It's like anything it could be turned into a funnel. And if you stay far, far away from the people who understand, it's like if I had a rule that whenever I did a presentation or did a call or talk to somebody, I would never mention ClickFunnels, right? Because my end goal would always be to sign this person up to ClickFunnels under my affiliate link so I get some recurring revenue and then help them to build the funnel so I get some money up front, right? So if I go on there and say, hey, you need to use ClickFunnels from the outset, they're just going to go Google that thing, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like to find that customer. You mentioned the Dream 100. Making a sort of like, you go around the lake, you look in the water, you see what's going on. You ask a few questions in groups. You're like, who would actually like to create a business out of their artwork? If you just wrote that in some weird niche group, right? People will be like, oh, I ain't got time for that. I'm just in it for the hobby. And some people will be like, if only I knew how. Well, ta-da, they are the folks you want to be talking to, right? Because they've got the intention. How many times would you say to a family member, you should make a business out of that? And they go, if only I knew how, or one day. And then they give you a bunch of reasons why, they've not done it yet. So, you need to go to college for that. You need to go to university for that. You need venture capital for that. You need an investor for that. You've got to take a big loan for that. You've got to have all this complicated insurance and all this stuff that I don't understand. Does that kind of make sense? And if you are the person that can move those barriers out of their way real quick and introduce them to something that actually allows them to do that. Well, actually, you can use Canva to do this logo that you're stressing about. Then you can use ClickFunnels to put this stuff online, and that takes away that stress. And then you could use this thing to very quickly, the penny drops and you've got a client. It's like, that is, in my mind, one of the quickest ways to get somebody over their obstacles. But if they already know this stuff, the chances are look, there's two types of people, right? And
Right.
imagine we chop off your finger. Right? So we get a big knife now and we cut off your finger, right? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to run around and go, help, 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 help. So there's guys out there who've got a business and they know their business is bleeding, right? They know it's bleeding and they just get anybody to help them. Help. First person to help and put the band-aid on gets the client. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But there's folks who are out there who have got an amazing idea and they don't realize they're bleeding. And if you come in there and point it out and we look, dude, you're spending all this money on this billboard, or you're messing around for days on end trying to get this thing to work. I can kind of come in there and fix that, right? The people are like, whoa, you're my savior. How do we do business? So if you can get in front of the people who either have got the inkling that they want to do it, or the people who are bleeding one way or another, chances are you can get clients out of that. And if you stay far away from the thing that you're actually going to use to do that, like ClickFunnels, and don't even mention it until you've got them on board, you've got kind of like a winning recipe to launch any business in any niche. But you really do need to get that down, I think, to, you know, if you're going to work with photographers, or you're going to work with martial arts schools, or you're going to work with insurance brokers or dentists or accountants or whatever it is, you've kind of got to position your offer in a way that they understand it, and you've got to help them solve their problem. And then when you look in the water and you're like, whoa, there's a big bunch of fish swimming around here and they're all accountants and they're all wanting to like eat the bait that I've got, then you can start thinking about, well, what would we use to tempt them to come into our net? And that's kind of like how Danny's brain works, but it's not a long process to make that happen. You know, it could be e-com owners, they could be brick and mortar store, whatever it is. But I think we do get caught up on the tech stuff, and we often fish in the wrong ponds. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Tim?
Yeah, I mean, basically everything Danny said. And yeah, I mean, like the beauty of knowing how to build funnels, man, is that you could come up with solutions for almost everything. Like you could literally like trying to like, you know, use an example, one of my personal things without saying too much, because I'm not trying to like self promote or anything like that, you know. But it's like ah,
I Tim would put the sign up.
no, but I'm saying, but like say like my wife, she does eyelash extensions. That's like a thing, right? And the reason her business blew up practically overnight was because we know how to build funnels, right? So once we did that, probably within a year, with, you know, we gained a lot of proof of like, man, this is really working. What do you think I did? I created a course for lash artists on how to get more business, and we sell that. What else do you think we did? We're like, and like the reason I always stress to people, you want to learn how to build funnels, is because ideas are going to come from the fact that you know how to build them. What else did we do? We're just like, you know, in order to, when they're doing lashes, to use some as like a specific type of eyeglasses to help them see better. We're like, man, I could build a funnel to sell those glasses. What do you think we actually did? We found a manufacturer to sell glasses, and now we sell lashing glasses. So it's like literally, it's like any idea or an existing business out there, you could literally go out to them and provide this like solution just because you know how to build funnels. There's business that have needs that they're not even aware of. You know, it's like people like say like a barber. A barber got, you know, they got their barber's license, and their university or wherever they went for it didn't teach them how to get customers. They was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I got my certification to be a barber. I'm going to go rent a place and hope you know, hope that people see my sign out there or something, people start coming in. You could go into those places, probably even like if you're like starting out, probably for free, say, hey man, I really know how to get you more business. Would you mind if, you know, if we kind of come to an agreement and we could use you as like as an example, and I could generate a ton of business for you like in the next 6 months, and in exchange for like a testimonial or something. Once you get that, you could market yourself as the person that gets barber's business.
Yeah.
You know, and then you go to the next random niche, you know, people that dye hair, people that do nails, karate schools, dentists. So it's literally just look for existing businesses that haven't gone into the real technology world of things, the internet world of things, and just start looking for ways to get them business.
That's what businesses want, right? They either want more leads, more sales, more customers, right? If you go in there and it's like, hey, we're going to do a bunch of stuff for you that they don't understand, they're probably not going to buy it. But every business understands we need customers.
Mm-hmm. And then if you could go in, kind of like what I was talking about, like one idea leads to another. Like since you already have that mindset, you could look into it and say, oh wait, so you're a barber, but I noticed like when people come into your barber shop, you sell like these aftershave things or these special, I don't know, brushes or whatever. It's like, have you ever considered maybe just creating your own and selling those too? Because you could do that with this system that I use called funnels, and you could start giving them ideas that never even crossed their mind that you could turn them into. Is like, wow, instead of just spending money and buying products, now you could actually sell your products. That's in the same world of, in this case, being a barber.
Yeah.
It's like the things to cover people up so hair don't get on them. The special chairs, anything, like literally, once you know how to build funnels, you could dissect any idea and just make her grow little legs and arms and limbs, and like start producing so many sources of income from it.
Yeah, everything that you guys are saying right here is just it's pulling me in all sorts of directions because I don't know what to talk about first. But I love how I love just all the ideas that you just threw out there, Tim. For anybody that's brand new, you might be thinking, oh my goodness, how did Tim come up with all this stuff? What happens is through the course of your business, you'll just doors will open, opportunities will open. But it's very important that you start with a niche and start with a community. Maybe you're already in that community. So with Susan's, the example with Susan, she is, she likes doing funnels. She's pretty artsy. She likes the technical stuff. She also is she is a photography, amateur photographer. She's also in that macro photography group. And, she's thinking, wow, this would be perfect because I could do some of the things that I love and make money off of it, right? Generate some income and start a business. So if she were to focus on that macro photography community and get really good at helping other people, maybe 2 or 3 people in that group start a business, she will master she will begin to master how to start a macro photography business, right? And that she'll be able to start getting some testimonials. She'll also be able to broaden her business and maybe go into other communities, other groups. And so that's why when you're first starting out, you want to, find a niche, find a smaller group of people. You don't want to go too broad. But then later, once you get the road built and everything's starting to come into play, then you can start branching out and doing other types of photography or helping other photographers build other types of businesses.
But if I could just add this, but try to squeeze everything out of every idea as possible. It's like you were just talking about, what is it? Micro photography? What was it called?
Macro. Yeah.
Macro is like, if there's a specific lens or something that's used for that, try to figure out how to sell the lenses.
Yeah.
If there's like a filter, well, I know there's like, I don't know nothing about photography, very little, but I forgot the word of it, like a special filter that goes on the lens so you can step outside and the glare doesn't.
Right. It's
I think it has like 3 letters in it or something. I think.
It's a filter. I forget too.
Yeah, it's a filter. So imagine if you could find a manufacturer and you could sell those filters or something, and you could create a package or something. Like you went from teaching them how to get business to it's like, hey, if you want your business to really do good, these products here make your pictures even look 100% better. If you're if in your niche, there's a way to become like a certified trainer, because we did this too. Become it, and now you put a funnel out there offering to train and certify people to do something that's in that niche too. It's like literally, it's like grab your idea and just bring it out, man. And you could all of a sudden you went from this one idea that you weren't too sure about to like 5 different income streams from it.
Without a doubt. I'm up on Amazon now looking up like products in that macro photography niche, and there are some like gooseneck macro arms with lights on that kind of come off the front of your camera. These things like $15.99, right? And I guess you're going to put the little thing in the arm, or you're going to use that in a certain way to get that close-up amazing shot, keep the stability. I'm just guessing based on the product. But I can be an Amazon associate and I can sell those as an affiliate basically and get commission off them. And that could be like straight through the gate in those micro communities, making some money before you even develop your offer, and kind of like, hey, what do you think of this? And people, oh, wow, that's amazing. And you kind of get people in. Can I illustrate two things, Andy, on a whiteboard?
Sure.
Like just that sprung to mind straight away. There's one thing, right, and I've just answered a question in the comments. We've got a few folks asking questions in the comments, right? You've got people out there in the communities at large in these weird niches, right? And you're thinking, right, I need to help these guys build a business, and then I'm going to use that and I'm going to turn that into a course, whatever it is, right? And you're already thinking millions of miles that you can do. I'm going to sell affiliate products. I'm going to help these guys do the logos. I'm going to help them do the videos. I'm going to help them build the funnels and all this sort of stuff. The one thing, right, that you're not thinking about right now is time. Because you want it here. You want everything done there and you want ka-ching, right? You want money. But that will not happen tomorrow, right? So if you think, well, look, you think of this, right? This is the second thing I want to show you. Think of your funnels as being like little railway stations that connect people between two points, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing you might do is build a track between these guys have got absolutely zero online to these guys have got a logo. And that's the first thing I'm going to get these guys. Once they've got a logo, they can get off that train, they can have a walk around, they can go back to where they came, they can use the logo, and they're going to be like, whoa, that logo that you built me, Susan, is so amazing. Now I've got people, I can put these on my photographs in the corner, right? So in the corner of my photographs, I've now got this. So in that train line of building logos for 100 people in that community, Susan's racked up some dollars, right? So she's racked up $900 building logos. But now Susan's thinking, well, now what's the next logical thing I can give to these guys? Like Tim was saying, so she's going to build a short track here that's going to then, now they've got the logo, well, maybe they need some nice binders to put their photographs in. So let's show them how they can use Canva to take the logo, take the image, put it together, and then build that out into like a storybook, right? So when they've got the client, they've got the, so they're going to print the photos and they've got logos on, and now we're going to put these into a thing, and then we're going to send these off to like Amazon print, and we're going to get those done. And that's like a little mini course, right? And Susan knows if she teaches these guys the mini course on whatever it is, how to bind your images and present them back to your customer and charge 3 times as much, she's moved along a little while, right? And then she's like, well, look, these guys are loving this stuff now. So what I want to do is actually give them something more advanced. We're moving them on to this bit. But whatever your little stations are where your funnels lead, it takes time, right? So you could be like, this is going to happen in December. Do you see where I'm going with this? And this is going to be January. This, by the time we've done this and we've launched it and we've got a few people in, and we've got testimonials and results, we're into February. And then we're going to have a break, and then we're going to launch this thing in March. Just see where I'm going with this, because if you want it all to happen now, chances are you're just going to get in a big muddle, and you're going to be confused, and you'll be overwhelmed. But if you think, well, what's the first thing these guys need in this group, and how do I provide that to them? You know, if I'm going to be building them funnels, maybe I'm not mentioning funnels until December. Maybe they just need that logo. And that's all I'm going to do. And they're like, hey, guys, who wants a free logo that you can put as a watermark on the corner of your photo so you look more professional in front of your customers? And everybody put their hand up and go, whoa, Susan, that's amazing. Thanks so much. And you just knock out a few of these logos that Tim's going to show you on Canva, knowing that in the summer, you're then going to be like, hey, guys, how would you like this binder thing? I've put a little course together, right? You can come and check it out. What do you think? But you need to put your email in so I can send you the link. And now you're getting them into your funnel, right? Because Susan knows how to build funnels. But you're not doing that as logo, then mini course, then upsell. Because people looking at that going, whoa, I just wanted a logo and now they're trying to sell me all this stuff, and they bounce. You do it over time. Mm-hmm. How do you move people from station to station over time? And if you get that, that's probably the most important lessons that I've ever learned in business. Is like, don't just try and do it all now. Let us know in the comments if this makes sense.
I'm glad that you said, Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Danny, because there's been times that I've, tried to get something started, and you get all these ideas and you're so excited and you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. And then all of a sudden when you start to build the thing, you get overwhelmed, right? And I'm glad that you mentioned this, because I've seen so many people start small, start with just something basic, get it down really good, let the results come in, and then build on that. You don't have to have, a huge launch the very first time that you do this. You could just start out small, and there's nothing wrong with that. Another thing that I wanted to mention, related to what both you and both Danny and Tim said, is that I know it's a little controversial about offering your services for free. Okay. There's some people that do it, some people don't. Some people will say never do that. There's some people that have had huge success. Personally, I also have had some pretty good success offering, a photography session or something that I've offered for free. In fact, I'll just give you a story. Back a long time ago, I don't do as much photography anymore, but when I was a photographer, my one of my actually my first wedding client, I did her wedding for $40. $40. Weddings, there's wedding photographers that charge $3,000. I have friends that charge even more than that, $5,000 for a wedding. I did it for $40. Okay, gas money, pretty much. This person, and I was upfront. I just said, hey, you know what? I've never done a wedding, but I'm excited. I want to offer it. I think I'm ready. Give me a chance and let's do it. $40. There's basically no risk, right? And what happened is that person told the world about my photography services, told the world. I went on to do several weddings that were friends of this person. I went on to take pictures of their family. And so it just exploded. So it worked for me. I'll just leave it up to you. I know there's people that say, don't do that. You should charge something, which I did charge something, but but don't be afraid to try things out. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look at the long picture, at the big picture, like down the road, because it's like a mixture of feelings of like, am I pro doing it for free or am I against it? It depends where you're at, because you could be amazing at something, but if you have no testimonials, it's
Yeah.
not it's not worth being great. And so, like, if you are gonna do something for free, be very upfront about it and the reasons you're doing it. Don't be like, oh no, I just want to do it. And then at the end, hey, can you give me a testimonial or something? It's like, no, listen, I'm trying to grow my name out there. I am very good at what I do, but no one knows about me. So I'm willing to do this for free in exchange of a testimonial and your permission to actually share the images that I took of your wedding, which was private. So I'm sure it's kind of like a private client, but like, I'm committing to do this for free in exchange of this. Be very upfront. So then, even if rumor gets out that you did this for free and now you're charging $3,000, well, yeah, I did it for free because I was in this stage in my life. I needed to have some kind of examples of what I needed. And going back to what Danny was saying about trying to not rush, a lot of people here is like, wow, but that's going to take a whole year. A year's going to go by regardless.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than after the year, you're looking back and being like, what if? What if I had done it? I would be today doing the last part of it, but I was impatient. So I did absolutely nothing. It's time, man. Time goes by so fast, especially when you start realizing it more and more as you have kids. It's painfully fast.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I think there's a few more things that kind of come to mind from that, because setting expectation, right? If Susan was sat in front of us right now, I'd be like, look, Susan, you realize there's a group out here of people and you can sell them stuff and you can help them to build their business over a period of time. But if you're going to start off by doing something free or a lot inexpensive, you set the expectations. This is only available to 10 people. I want the testimonial, like Tim said. And at the end of this process, the doors are closed and I'm going to go away and do some stuff, right? So the train ends here. This is it. This is why the little like train line is that long. You move them to there, they stop. You stop. You can go back and evaluate. The last thing you want is a bunch of clients who just keep like what we call work creep. where this work keeps creeping up and up and up and up, and you get in inboxes in the middle of the night, and someone's like, "Hey, this logo, I need it in red, blue, pink, green, yellow, and I need it by Monday." And it's like, whoa, that wasn't part of the deal. And what can happen is you feel like obliged to come and do some of this stuff. You never want to feel obliged. You need to be upfront. And look, you say, look, if you give me a testimonial for this and I can be successful, I'll always come back and look after you. But I'm not doing this for everybody. That's a good angle to get with your first clients. It's kind of like you're bringing people in on the ground floor, right, of your business, and you want to help them and they're going to help you. If it's the expectations are very, very clear, you can move forward quite quickly. And you talked about Dream 100, Andy. It's like you might think, well, one day I'm going to do photography for, or do services for, or deliver funnels for that person, and they're the top of your 100 list. You ain't doing that tomorrow, right? There's some people who are on my list of Dream 100 that we mapped out a long time ago, and I've still not had a conversation with them, but I will. And I know it's going to take time, right? You're not going to do it all in one day, but your other folks who are lower down that list, you can start approaching them earlier in that time scale. Once you've got your business established, you've got some clients, you've got something to show for that. And then this thing will start moving. Like Tim said, your year, it needs to be a productive year where you are building. That's why we call it building a business. It's not just like built a business, right? And it's the way it could be built. It's building, and it's over a period of time. So if you've got big dreams and aspirations that one day you're going to have the best, agency for people who are doing macro photography, and you're going to provide all their digital services, just be aware it's going to take a while to get there. And to get there, you need to be building over that period of time.
Yeah, and if I could add, like you mentioned, like the importance of pacing it out. But once you do pace it out and people are more familiar with you, then yes, you could actually add those things as upsells, and you could focus on the one easy thing. Like I don't know, the example we were talking about was like a logo or something, right? And once you've established your name enough out there, yes, like this promote the logo thing in the funnel. That's the beauty of funnels. Once they just pay for your local service or something, oh wait, they also offer this, and you could do your upsells in there. But after you've established yourself and you've confirmed that service that you want to add as an upsell actually worked, and you gain testimonials of it, because there's nothing better than having an upsell page that not only you could pitch your service or product, but right below it or in that video that you're talking, you could be like, for example, Danny was one of my customers. Check out what he has to say. And Danny could come out talking about, well, yeah, it was amazing. And that's why it's important of taking your time with it, because you could convert and turn every little idea into its own little marketing machine. So it's very important to be patient with it, because again, time's going to go by anyway.
Yep. And I think we're picking up a few questions as well in the chat, and I know we'll try and get to those at the end. But I know you want to keep moving with this, Andy, right? So we've covered a lot, and we're into this. I'm thinking, whoa, I'll go and check out this niche.
Yeah, definitely. So I do see the comments, and we'll definitely answer those in a second. There's a question about your hat, Tim, and by the way, Michael. Yes, you're on the right track with your question, but I'll let Tim either answer that in the comments or later on if you want to explain. But yeah.
I'll answer it at the end of this.
Yeah, warning, it might make you a little emotional though, okay?
Yeah, no, I'll make it so quick because I can't risk getting emotional. So I'll make it I'll answer really, really quick right now. Just like he mentioned here about his twins. Yes, basically my daughter was born at 24 weeks. So we spend a long time in the NICU, 136 days. But during that time, because of the type of businesses I have, the type of work I do, I was able to be there all day, every day, practically 24/7. And it was a blessing, while at the same time being grateful that I didn't have to, or I had the opportunity to always be there. There was a sense of guilt too, because I saw so many parents that couldn't do it, and it all related to work. If they couldn't be there, it was because of work. That's all it was. And so I kind of came up with the concept, the brand, just to kind of bring awareness and it to be a conversation starter of like, there are other options out there that's going to allow you to not only be with your kids in a situation like such, but also after your children come home, because there's no bigger fear than trying to figure out who's going to take care of your preemie baby once you're out. Sometimes you just don't do it. People end up quitting their jobs, getting themselves into a horrible financial situation because of it, and there's absolutely no reason to do so if you know that there's other options out there. So
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
long story, very short.
Yeah. So glad that your baby is healthy now. And
Yeah.
how over a year old, I think, or
She's 4 now. She's 4.5.
she's 4. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's big. Awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful story, but crazy
Thanks.
that you went through that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So what we're going to do next is we got 2 more things that we want to cover, and we have just enough time for that. One thing I wanted to go over is the Dream 100, because this exercise got me so pumped up. When I heard about it, I was listening to one of the secrets book. I think it's Traffic Secrets, and Russell said, "Stop what you're doing right now." I was actually taking a walk outside, and I actually stopped and started putting down, because I knew that it was just urgent for me to start this list, right? So, Danny, I know that you've been doing this for a very long time. You've been helping a lot of people with ClickFunnels. Tell us a little bit about this exercise. What does it mean, Dream 100?
You kind of got to take time into account, like I said earlier. But for me, in the funnel business, it's always a long-term goal, right? Because there's people you can work for immediately, and then there's people you might want to work for in the future, right? But the same's true in any business. You're still working for or providing a service to someone. And even when we set up we did a fishing e-commerce business, and we made a bunch of money doing fishing stuff. Even at the start of that, we made a list of companies and individuals who we would like to interact with or transact with, right? So maybe it was a certain brand, right? So in fact, we actually had 2 lists for the fishing thing. So it's like brands we want to be able to work with and stock and promote. And so, for example, there's some real big brands, and they're hard to get to. We put them on a list of, these are the 100 companies that we would love to represent through our products. So we want to stock their stuff, and we know by stocking their stuff, right, and promoting their stuff, so it might be a camera brand or whatever it is, we are going to get more customers, because those customers want to buy that. So that was a useful exercise using essence of the Dream 100, right? But in the general term, it is about, who would I like to work for or deliver a service for or get to be my client? Who are my Dream 100 clients, right? So if you're going to make a list of people in the funnel space, and you go and put Russell Brunson at the top of that list, right? So maybe one day I'm going to deliver a product or service for Russell Brunson, right? You see where that went? Because I'm sat currently in Russell Brunson's group talking to Russell Brunson's team about Russell Brunson's stuff, and that doesn't happen in 2 minutes, right? But it's kind of like, who else would be in that space that you would want to work with, for, do stuff on behalf of, get to pay you for something, right? Get to recognize you for something. It doesn't have to be money. It could be, you want to go into business with these guys. But unless you know where you're going in your business, well, like, it's a dream, right? It's a big dream goal, right? And I'm like, well, I get to help ClickFunnels do stuff in the community. That's like, if you'd have said this like 6 years, 7 years, 8 years ago, when I first discovered ClickFunnels, I thought I said you're crazy, right? But then you start on your journey. But sometimes your journey kind of comes to a stop, and you're like, oh man, there's no way that's like the end of the line, right? So you've got to go all the way back down those tracks, and you've got to start a new journey to move. But if you know that you're in the end of your journey, you want to kind of like be working with some of the folks on this list. Who are the dream customers? Who are the dream clients? Who are the dream partners? Who are the dream associates? Right? It doesn't say this is the dream customer list. It says the Dream 100, right? And you could apply that to any group of people. You might only have 5, right? And you're like, hey, one day I want to work and deliver services for Tony Robbins. Or one day I want to partner with Tony Robbins. One day I want to be on a video, right? It depends what the goal is, right? Well, me and Tony are going to rock this thing out on a video, but it's not going to happen tomorrow, right? Because I'm unheard of. But it gives you a grounding point to say, right, how do I get there? What train track do I need to build? And what train do I need to put on that thing? And how do I fuel this thing to keep moving? Over time, it might be slow, it might stop, it might come back, but at some point I'm going to get there, right? And that gives you like determination to move through. So right now for Susan, it's good to dream and have some stuff on there that one day Susan's going to be delivering services for, I don't know, Sony and Canon and you know, all these camera companies. And so you're going to do in their marketing, you put those at the top of your big dream, you know, who is the main person in that macro photography space? And I want that. I want to work with that person, but you're not going in there with some kind of crazy intentions that you're going to make a bunch of money. You're going in there that you're going to add value to that person. You're going to take something off that person's plate. You're going to help them understand an issue or a problem. You're going to serve their community. You're going to do something of value for that person. So if you're like, hey, I just want to go out there and make a load of money off Tony Robbins or Russell Brothers, whoever it is, you're probably not going to succeed because your intentions are a bit like not where they should be. But if you're going in there with the best intentions, with the desire to actually help people, then you can achieve anything on your Dream 100 list. And I guess the same goes for these guys, right? So Tony sat there and Russell sat there and all these folks are sat there going, who are the people who, if I just make that connection, it's going to enhance both of our businesses? That's how this kind of thing's been born. But unless you write this stuff down, you're going to like, is it just a pipe dream then, right? So by having a list and of different people, and you can rank this list into the order, who is the ultimate dream person, the dream one, and who are the rest of the folks? You just try writing a list of 100 people in your area who you could serve. And even doing that leads to the question of, well, what would I do? You know, if the phone rang now and it was like, I don't know, Tony Robbins, whoever it is, right? Someone's on the phone and they're like, right, I've seen you on Facebook and you're awesome. Come to the office. What would you do? If they said, right, tell me what you can do for me. How are you going to enhance my business? What would you do? I need to do something, right? So it gives you the route map to then start planning out the what. So if you know the who, it's like, who are these folks I want to work for? But that at the moment could be the 100 most active people in that Facebook group that you've just joined. You know, people you don't even know who they are, but you're like, hey, Bob Smith in that group seems to have a cool little following and he seems to know about macro photography. I would love to work with him, put him on the list. Because you list, as you take people off, you can add people on and you can have different lists, maybe for suppliers, maybe for companies, maybe for, you know, the big entrepreneurs in the space. You should kind of like think out of the box kind of thing, but it's very, very useful exercise, you know, very, very useful. And I guess everybody needs to have that because it's a big driver in, you know, whoa, it's not like you're not collecting like baseball cards, right, guys? You know, it's not like you're making some crazy like sticker collection, but it's this, if we just did this thing, right, the whole world would be better as a result of it. Then, you know, they can only say no, or they can say later, or, you know, they might ignore your message for 6 months and then you might get a reply. But if you don't ask the question, you don't make the approach, you don't have the intention in mind, you'll never get there. So it's like, do it, try it. That's something everyone could do right before tomorrow. Like, go away and write down a list of who would be the folks that you would want to serve in your niche at the highest level. You know?
And if I could add one thing to that, I think it helps you also realize who do you have to become. Because you know, because you're not gonna you use Tony Robbins as an example. If you just came up with an idea today, you're not gonna, reach out to Tony Robbins and expect it to go well. You know, like you need to start building your name. It's kind of like when you have an opportunity to ask someone huge a question and you realize you have no questions. We were kind of talking about this on a whole other private thing. It's like it makes you realize how unprepared you are.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like kind of like if Tony Robbins called you, what would you do? Or what would you say? Like, you also got to be prepared. Like if Tony Robbins versus say, ask me whatever you want.
Yeah.
You got to make sure it's not a dumb question. It has to be something that's like Good. So your Dream 100 makes you realize, man, if I want to reach that number one guy on that list and number one girl, who do I have to become? How do I need to speak? How do I have to carry myself? What reputation do I have to build for myself in order to even dare considering reaching out to this person?
Yeah.
Or me or them becoming aware of me? Because sometimes it works like that too. Like
Yeah.
you don't need to reach out to them. Like, where am I gonna position myself to where they notice me? So.
Big thing that you just said there is about positioning, right? And
Mhm.
and being able to position yourself from the beginning in your business is so important. And you thinking about that over time, so important is what position am I going to take up on this big playing field, right? If you're going to be a funnel builder, how are you going to position yourself? If you're going to be a logo person, how are you going to position yourself? If you're going to be someone who, just puts this strange technology into people's businesses, how are you going to position yourself? Whatever it is, positioning is super important. But the Dream 100 is a way to say, that is my ultimate goal. And I now need to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, that's, Danny, that was exactly what I was going to say. And thank you, Tim, for the things that you mentioned as well. But I was just going to say that the Dream 100 list is basically a goal. It's your goals. Okay. It's your long-term goals. Go crazy with it. Don't be embarrassed. Just, like we were saying, is maybe if you're Susan and your goal is to try to get bigger customers, Nikon, right? Canon, Sony. Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be awesome? Photography magazine, or maybe you can also go. You can look online. You can go out into find businesses that have their physical building. You can do that, but you can also go on social media and you can look at the different influencers there. People with 10,000 followers or 100,000 or 1 million or something like that. YouTube. There might be some people on YouTube that are excellent at creating courses, and you might even be able to team up with them, not just build their funnel,
Yeah.
but maybe team up with them and offer some other type of services together with that company. So there's so many ways, but man, when I was listening to when I heard about this exercise about the Dream 100, it got me so pumped up. I was really, really excited. I had to get down there. So this is something that you really, really need to do. Check out those books in case anybody that is watching this today and you haven't read the books. The books are really the foundation of everything that we do. Russell Brunson has created an entire universe, a huge community that is focused on funnels. And so you really need to take a look at those books. Excellent stuff. Now, the last thing that we're going to do here is we're going to actually start taking action. Okay. So we're actually going to start taking action. And we're going to pretend that Susan is starting to think about her branding and starting to think about maybe possibly creating a logo, getting the colors together. So before I pass things over to Tim here, because Tim is actually going to show us how to use Canva, basic stuff, okay, on how to get started with Canva. But what I want to do, Danny is controlling the stream in the back end, is I'm going to share my screen. I have this site that I love going to. It's called Coolers. It's coolers.co. It's very, very helpful. I love this site because I am like color dumb. What I mean is, like, I can build a page. I'm pretty good at building pages, but actually getting the colors to look nice, that's the part that I struggle with. So I can see that we have the site here up on the screen, and if you want to write this down, it's Coolers with all O's, COOLORS.co, or you can just look, do a Google search for color generator or color palette. Anyways, this is a really cool site because you come right here, you click on this button, it's free. You don't have to pay anything or sign up or anything like that. You click right here. And then what I do is I'm going to start hitting the space bar on my keyboard. And it just starts going through random colors. Okay, so random colors here, and since Susan is the person that we're going with, she might want to go with a more feminine style, but it's really up to you. Maybe we'll go with something like this, but this is a really easy way for you to get the colors and save them, and then and make sure that you're using the same colors in all of your pages and all of your assets. So let me see. Yeah, I think this one right here. We'll pretend that we're going to go with this one. So how do you get these colors? How do you save them, or what do you do? What you want to do next is you can just click right here and then copy this. This is the hex code. So you just copy the hex code, save it somewhere, and then if you go into any other program like Canva, or if you're ever going to go into Photoshop or anything of that, this is the code for that color. Okay, now what if you like some of these colors, but some of the other colors not so much, right? Like maybe I like this and this green, but what you can do is you can lock this color and lock this green, and then you can keep hitting the space bar and it just cycles through other color combinations. So yeah, for anybody that's not so great with colors like me, this is going to be a great site that I think you should start with, just to get an idea of what your colors might be. All right, awesome. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Pretty cool that. And look, the important thing with that is you can then translate these into your style guide inside of ClickFunnels. You can use them in Canva, Photoshop, use them in your logo, and you've got complementary colors from a few presses of your spacebar without going insane and having to pay thousands for a design team to come in and teach you about this. You can look at the psychology behind colors. You could research this. We could talk about this for months, but designers will design, right? And they'll take you one way, they'll take you another way. And no disrespect if you're a designer watching this right now, but for the customer starting out, you kind of want to have a feel to where your brand is going from the outset and why you're choosing those colors. And then you can start, you go and hire your designer. You're like, look, these are my colors. This is the reason I've chosen this. Work with this stuff, rather than spending extra time and energy and money trying to get, pay someone to figure this out. It's a great resource, and it's something that definitely want to be checking out, right?
Right. Awesome. Cool. So Tim, I think I'm just going to hand things over to you, and go ahead and do your thing, buddy. Show us Canva, and what are the basics of
Yeah.
Canva?
Yeah, cool. So I've been like kind of Googling images based on like what we were talking about Susan. Like we literally just came up with this. Like as we jumped on, it's like, yeah, so we're gonna use Susan and we're gonna say she's gotten good at funnels and she's kind of becoming a funnel person. So that's kind of the example we're gonna use. And again, you could really go, take some time on this and everything and make it look amazing. You could also even hire people like on Fiverr to make your logo or something. But if you just want to do something really quick, this is how you could do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Make sure I grab the right one. I have two monitors, so let me know once you can see it, Danny.
There we go.
We're good.
All
right. So I'm in Canva. Usually I just grab I select presentation, right? And sometimes people are like, oh wait, but that's too wide or whatever. I'm like, don't worry about that, because once I design something, I just take a screenshot of it. I got the little piece I want to use. So we went based on what we're talking about, Susan. I just came over here to Google and I did female coach or female professor. And I always like to search for PNG because sometimes they do have the transparent background, but if they don't, you can do it on your own. So let's say, I don't know, let's just use this one that I already had up. So this one isn't really a PNG. I think it has the permanent gray background. So I'm just going to save this really quick here. And then let's do funnel PNG. Let me spell that correctly here. Right, so let's find something kind of cool looking here. Let's see this one. So that one actually has a transparent background. So if you don't have Photoshop, or you don't have a paid for Canva account or something to remove a background, there's a few websites you could do remove.bg, and you can simply upload an image here and you could delete the background out of them really quick as such. Then you simply just download it. It's free. It goes to your computer, right? So let me come over here to Canva, and I'm going to come to uploads. I'm going to upload my file, and let's just save those 2 images that we just did. Right. So I'm going to put her here. And then I have this funnel here, which of course it's currently doesn't look that great. However, let's say if I wanted somewhere right around there, all I need to do is then click on it then click up here where it says position, and I'm going to set backward so it goes behind her. And then you can kind of adjust it a little more. Right. So that kind of looks good there. Play around with this. So let's say if you liked it right there, then you wanted to put like your brand name under here. You could just add some text. You could put a headline down here. Let's say she's the, I don't know, funnel coach.com or something. Then you can make it nice and smaller. Put it somewhere around here. Select the font you want. Let's say, I don't know, something like that. Maybe you could change the color to whatever color we ended up choosing, like the specific one you want to use for her brand. But let's say it was that. Now, as I mentioned, this is a huge background, so you don't want to use all that. So all you have to do, depends on what kind of computer you have. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to do Command Shift and 4. And that's just going to let me take a little snippet here or whatever I want to use. And then I recommend doing this 2 ways. I recommend doing a little square like this, and then also doing a smaller version of it with a lot of space to the side of it, right? And I'll explain here why. I recommend doing another screenshot with a lot of space to the side here. And the reason for that is because once we turn this into a transparent, PNG image, sometimes you want your logo to go way to the left, and having all that negative space to the right of it is going to be very helpful in order to achieve that. So now that we did that, I could come over here to remove.bg. I could go over here to my recents because there's a screenshot. I could select it. And now it successfully removes the background out of it. Then I'll go ahead and do the same thing and do it to the one with the wider background. And now I have all of this space. So in case I want to put it somewhere, like say if I want to put like some text next to it or something, I'm able to do so as well. And then another free website I want to show you, because sometimes depending on the type of image and everything, sometimes you can't get the full background out of it and you just want to do one little spot. Another one I like to use is called lunapic.com. And it basically works the same way. You could upload it, an image that you want to use. And then you could even get really creative with it. Like say if you didn't remove the background yet, you could come over here to edit. You could do a transparent background, but you could also replace like colors, like especially like if we were just doing like what Andy was showing. If you want to come up with different colors that fits your brand, you could come over here. I believe it's in, let's see, replace color. You go to adjust, replace color, and basically you're going to select the new color you want. This is where you will put the code if you had it, but let's say it's green, for example. Then all you need to do is just, well, I accidentally clicked there, but basically you will click on wherever you want that color to change, and that's where it will do so. But again, very basic. Just save a few images that you like, kind of put them together inside of Canva, take a screenshot of it, remove the background and remove that BG, and you're pretty much good to go if you want to do something really quick.
Super easy. Oh my goodness. So I haven't spent too much time in Canva. There's lots of other design programs out there, but I would say Canva is probably the most popular one out there that isn't as complicated as something like Photoshop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you use Photoshop? Because there's so many things that you can do, and it's just going to be, the learning curve is going to be a little bit bigger. And I mean, there's things I'm okay with Photoshop, but there's some stuff that I have no idea. There's like buttons in there that I've never used. Maybe I'll never use them. With Canva, everything is super simple. It's geared
and
for
achieves the
people that,
same. It achieves the same thing.
yes,
Like you could do like that was something really quick, but man, like I've created some amazing, like thumbnails where you could put layers on top of layers. Like it just you could add like a gradient and just using the whole thing of making it like where you click on position, you want to bring it forward or backwards. You could do that with so many layers. And after a few minutes of just playing around with it, you can make whatever you want, really.
yeah,
Like I don't
totally.
like unless you want something super like really, really elaborate, you may want to pay someone for a logo. But if you take your time with it, you could do whatever, man.
Yeah. Danny, do you usually use I don't know, maybe do you use Photoshop, or what's your go-to graphic design when you just want to get something done really quick?
I pretty much live inside of Photoshop. It's the one thing that if you could ever learn anything to help build your full empire and your business is Photoshop. But there is a new thing on the block right now, which is the AI, and Photoshop's got AI powered generative fill in there, which is like off the charts. And I also now use Midjourney a lot as well, which is, it's not free. I use the free one. It's real cumbersome. Midjourney is like an AI that comes up with stuff, right? And you can get that. Do you want to see? I can show you real quick.
Yeah.
So it works inside of a thing called Discord, which you need to get a tutorial, right? It's not overly difficult, but this is my screen. Remember I talked about the railway lines for the funnels? That's
Sure.
that. But what I've done is I've just wrote a prompt at the bottom of this screen, and I've just pressed like enter, and my answer here. So I've wrote the funnel coach logo, a female business coach standing next to a multicolored sales funnel with space for text on a white background with an aspect ratio of 16:9, right? And Midjourney is now doing stuff. And like, I would then take this into Photoshop, right? Because what it's going to do is it's going to give me things that I can grab and move around and remove the background and all of that sort of stuff. But if in, I don't know how many seconds that we're now getting this thing doing this thing, then I'm happy, right? Because it kind of takes the thinking out. And designers might, falling off your chair right now because you're like, oh man, it took me ages to do that. And in some respects, AI is going to become more and more prevalent. So you kind of need to figure some of this stuff out. And look, there's loads of tutorials on Midjourney, but that is the result of my logo demonstration. I didn't even touch it. I just wrote a line of text. And then what you do is you go into Photoshop and you would then, cut this lady out maybe, and you could move her closer. And Midjourney can't do text, right? So no idea what this means. Phone call. It tried to write something. What I would then do is I would remove this text here and put my logo in. So like Tim did, use the sort of screenshot tool. You could draw around this, or you could just export the image from Midjourney. Or there's loads of these generative image AIs right now. But look, if all it did was just teach you the skill, think how many logos you could go and deliver for businesses super fast. And Tim's like, whoa, I need to do stuff. You go out there and deliver these logos and sell the logos. Now, there are licensing requirements and there are terms and conditions, all the rest of that stuff. But you can go out there, you read this stuff, you understand it, and you start to couple Chat GPT and Midjourney and all these kind of things. There's even a thing now that does this for video. You just type in what you want and it'll make you a rough edit of a video. You need to embrace this stuff because it will help in your business. But some of this might be like rubbish and you think, oh man, what's that? You can just go and like rerun this stuff. So now I give you a different version. And you can keep doing that all day long. And some of the images that I've created inside of here are, insane. And use them on all sorts of different things, right? The sort of like images and backgrounds and logos and more, but it is one of the coolest things ever. And this plus Canva or Photoshop, you can get your idea from where it was to where it is to where it should be real quick. And the main thing to know is you don't just copy it and use it. You have to take it into Canva, do exactly what Tim just showed you. So you go in there and you're going to take the background off, right? That's why I asked in the prompt for the white background. So then I can go in there and I can remove that dead easy. And then what I can, in like one of those sites or Photoshop or whatever, and also you're going to have to manipulate that image in a certain way because, for example, what I would do is I'd cut round the lady, and I would move her into position. I would then take that text off and replace that with my own text and get rid of the white logo so I could have that see-through PNG. But if all that did is save you going around a bunch of stock sites and, you know, messing around with that stuff, it's worth doing. But you can get super creative with this, and there are, you know, bunches of different things that I've done in here. So, for example, hand-drawn live streaming icons, right? Social media icons, envelopes, arrows. I don't know. These are like landing page mock-ups. You see how cool that is? And you can just cut one of these out, and then you can build like your own little funnel diagrams and all sorts of cool stuff, right? So I do this stuff, but either AI. But remember that once you get your thing, take it into Canva, take it into Photoshop, and then just kick that around a bit so you get it to your standard. Maybe you add some other things, and check out the generative fill thing inside of Photoshop as well, because that's just like next level. Again, you just type some words, stuff happens, and you're off. Right. See the wizard, right? You have to build your business.
It's like stuff that would take you either years of education or thousands of dollars. You could just do it. Like the whole thing, especially when you see stuff like a splash of color.
Yeah.
Like you always wonder, man, how do graphic designers get those shapes to look like an actual splash or something? Now it's just like you just type it in and you're done. It's like if you're not making moves and doing stuff and like you're still obsessed, you know, still upset with your typical like driving to work every day. It's
just
come on.
It's the very, very basic thing. It's like, hey, you just say like what you want, color splash on white background, and just press like the key, and this now will think what is it that you want, and it's going to give you these. You can rerun these all day long, and you can package those up, and you could use them in all of your future works that you're going to do. And you can even get this stuff to do batches and also. So it's going to, I don't know what it's going to give me, but it's going to give you more than what you had, right? A lot more. And if you look at this stuff, right? This is like hours and hours and hours and hours on Illustrator. Do you even know how to use Illustrator? No, I don't know how to use Illustrator. I just use Photoshop and a few other things, right? But if you could take these things on white background and just remove the background and then put some words across the front, that could be on a t-shirt by the end of the day, right? That could be on your new branding. That could be, you could go use something like placeit.net and you can see what it looks like on packages and different things. But look at that. It's like, whoa. It's like, that is
so crisp.
Yeah. It's
like the quality of it. It's just like, imagine like literally like you could just take a picture of yourself posing, remove your background out of it, put it in front of that, and it looks amazing. Like,
look at that. I love that. I'm going to use that for something, right? So the future is now. Like you said, if you're look, we've just done a challenge over the last few days, and we talked in there about there's some folks out there who will have a barrier for everything. So, hey, why are you not launching a business? Or the time's not right. You see what I mean? Oh, I need to do this thing. I need to get an investment. I need to get a loan. I need I'm just not ready for it now. Or I'll have to make a phone call. I'll have to get out of bed in the morning. Right? It's like, yo, the time is now. It's like the best.
Take advantage of it now. It's just like, you know how like you see your little kids. I haven't taught my daughter how to work a phone, and she's just like, you know. So before this stuff becomes a default in human beings, take advantage of, so you know, and create something and still use it as a business, as an income stream, because God, what 5-10 years from now I think it's going to be impossible for not every person to know about this stuff.
Yeah.
And to be using it. You know?
Yeah, I've just started using AI, ChatGPT, and kind of dabbled a little bit with Midjourney. It is amazing, and ChatGPT has become, and also the AI that's built right into ClickFunnels too. It's right there. Yeah, so it's right there, and but now it's become pretty much I use it all the time now. Mostly, I would have to say that most of the time I use it to kind of give me ideas. I don't actually copy and paste, text. Most of the time I'll come up, I'll come up with, ask it to write something and then take parts of that text, change it a little bit, make it my own, throw in some jokes because ChatGPT isn't very good at jokes yet. But throw in some jokes, make it funny, and there you have it. So the more that you become familiar with AI, it's what's going to happen. Technology is always going to be changing things,
Yeah.
right? What is that, Danny?
We made a book and we call it Metal Detecting Secrets, and we spent about $5,000, and it's like literally AI. But if you want to bring your ideas to life, and we just did that as a proof of concept that you could go into these programs, and then I made a course on how I did that. And then, so before you know it, you've got businesses in different niches with weird groups of people doing stuff based on a concept that you had in the morning and a business by the evening, and it made a bag of money. And it got a lot of people thinking, and they've gone out and used the actual tips and been successful and found like gold coins and stuff. And I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah.
Right?
There's always going to be people complaining about technology. I'm sure that when they invented the printing press, there was some dude with scrolls saying that's cheating, like back in the old days, I used to write them by hand. So, and I know it can be disruptive for some people. There's people that are concerned about like art, right? But it's just going to make your art more real. It's going to make it more personal. You'll have to do art that AI can't replicate. And
we have to be ethical, right?
Changing. Exactly.
Ethical funnel hackers. But if you can go out there and you can use some of this stuff that people are literally printing and producing and putting on t-shirts and like making millions from, and print, that we spoke to a guy who did a conference, AI conference that someone put on recently, and we was in the VIP at the end talking with the speakers. And there's a guy on there, and he's literally used AI to produce books, put them on Amazon, and he was into like $50,000 of sales. It's like, are you kidding? This is like, it's like, I made 5, but this guy's like made 10 times as much because he just followed that route. He knew who the dream customer was, and he actually did the work. Biggest thing from me for finish, I know we're over time, is just start. Just start.
Start and adapt.
Yeah.
Because you were saying like a lot of people, like when the printer came out, people that were manually printing stuff, it's like, oh, this is gonna, you could be upset about it all you want, but it's not to be mean or offensive or anything, but you could easily become in any industry that you're in or any job that you do, you could easily become the cashier that's upset because they did self checkout but no longer has a job.
Yeah. But this comes back exactly to what Andy said earlier about you've got the bunch of folks who are not too good at it, but they took the action, and they're the ones who are helping people and making the money. That's kind of like, well, even if you didn't watch any other day this week, which we know you're going to, and there's a bunch of people on there, Michael and folks who are watching right now. But even if you didn't watch another day, what we've just dropped there, I think, is like people would pay a lot of money for that. Is like a coaching call. Get out there, start, embrace the new technology. Don't get caught up in your branding and whatnot. Focus on where are you fishing, what kind of fish do you want to catch, and like what bait are you going to use. You're going to start moving your business now. You know. And we didn't even open ClickFunnels, but we've got the concept, we've got the logo, we've got the colors, we've got the idea. We know we were going to position. So when we start building out sales pages and stuff for the next few days, Susan's rocking, right?
That's right.
And we did that in an hour and a half.
Yeah, hour and a half. And so, I hope you guys, anybody that's watching live right now, hope that you got a lot out of it. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I know that there's a bunch of comments. I've only seen a few right now, but we're going to go ahead and check on the comments. If you have any other questions, you can drop them in right now. I think we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. And I know that Danny, I mentioned that there's a guide that you can download. And so Danny actually, 5 minutes before we started, he put it on a page. And Danny, if you can do us a favor and just put that link in the comments so that anybody wants to download it, take a look. You are more than welcome to do that. We're going to be doing this every day. So tomorrow, what we're going to talk about is we are going to mention the Expert Secrets book, because most of the stuff that we're going to be talking about tomorrow is all in the Expert Secrets book. Okay. So we're really going to be diving into some of the concepts on how to build a funnel. And what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to build a funnel. Danny is going to be taking most of the, he's going to be the main host, I guess, and he's going to be actually building a funnel based on what we talked about today. Now, I mentioned that we planned this out for a couple weeks, but we intentionally left it open so that we can kind of discuss things on the flow. Okay, during our live videos. we're discussing it. And by the way, if you have any suggestions or ideas, we would love to hear those as well. But tomorrow we're going to be working on that funnel, and it's going to be really exciting. So I think with that, just a reminder, if you ever have questions, you can always go to help.myclickfunnels.com. If you want to send in an email, you got an urgent question, urgent issue in your account, you can always email our support at clickfunnels.com. But I think we're good. Any last ideas, thoughts?
Just start.
Yeah.
We're good?
Awesome. Yeah, I think we're good, guys. So I think we'll wrap it up. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.